Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of Take 5. And today I want to talk to you about the importance of policy and understanding policy. Before you ask a single question, read the policy of the organization for which you're conducting an investigation. Even if you work in that organization and you think you know that policy, review it, understand it, make sure you're following the process. The problem is that many people are quite willing to launch into an investigation. They're quite willing to proceed and start gathering evidence without really having a clear understanding of the policies. These policies really help guide us. They help set the framework for how the investigation should unfold. And we want to make sure that we're doing things in a manner that's consistent with the policy, because that's what employees, unions, everybody expects in terms of the manner in which the investigation will take place and unfold. It helps to keep you focused. You know exactly where you're going with the investigation, and this coupled with a good investigation plan is really going to get you to the right place. You know, the other thing too is that it really protects fairness. Sometimes policies will contain timeline expectations, and all too often I hear organizations complain about some of the investigators they've hired and the fact that their investigations are taking 5 and 6 months to complete. That's completely ridiculous and shouldn't be happening. Sure, there might be the occasional investigation that takes that long. Most investigations should be able to be turned around much, much quicker than that. And if we're not adhering to the timelines that exist within the company's or the organization's policies, then really, is there any integrity there? Is the investigation really going to be respected in terms of the outcomes for the people, particularly the outcomes that give people the news that maybe it didn't go the way they wanted it to go? You know, that's the reason why we have to try and stick to policy and understand it. We had a case recently where an organization asked us to do an investigation. We asked them as usual for the policy. When we read it, they had this, frankly, I would argue, bizarre component to it where the entire complaint is supposed to be shared with the person as written, and by person I mean the respondent, and the respondent is supposed to be given 20 days to provide a written response to the allegations against them. Now, I would argue that policy needs to change, but the fact that that existed in the policy and it was a unionized environment, the only option we had was to adhere to that policy and follow it. But had we not paid attention to the policy and just forged ahead, as external third-party investigators, we're left to our own devices. And if we didn't see that policy and know to ask the questions about it, you know, really, it would have been a big misstep. And it could have been reasons to negate an investigation or certainly call into question the fairness of the investigation. So it really is necessary for us to look at the policies, understand them, and follow through with how these investigations are expected to be completed, and whether we agree with it or not. I mean, I have a lot of things to say about the federal legislation that governs workplace investigations and from the Canada Labor Code. I don't agree with a lot of it, but it is what it is, and we have to follow it and we have to adhere to it. And the same applies to the policies within organizations when we're doing investigations for them. So take a look at those policies, read them, and it should be the first thing you ask for whenever you're engaged to conduct an investigation. I hope you found this helpful. Appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time on Take 5.